All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Twitch Creative Spotlight. I am Joe, otherwise known as GamerDad, joined by this guy over to my right. Yeah, this is
But
my right.
if they're listening, they can't see me, which
Fair
is
enough.
probably a good thing because I'm very hairy and I'm impending Duff. You can call me Neil, you can call me Duff. Most people call me Duff, but I am impending Duff. How are you? And we're joined today by our reserve special guest, DustIIDesigns. How are you, buddy?
Doing all right, Duff. How are you guys doing?
We're doing
Good, good.
great. Thank you so much for jumping in. I know we had a little bit of scheduling issues that came up, so I appreciate you being around and available.
That's no problem, man. I'm just working with this client. He's giving me a headache.
So the context here, guys, is he was talking to me before the podcast.
Jeez. Why am I not surprised?
Oh, it's branding, man. It's super important. And that actually brings us to the topic. So we've got Chris here on the show with us to talk about digital artwork, digital creation. So I met Dust doing my branding. The GamerDad logo is his creation. And he basically pulled me out of a pretty bad situation because I was in a spot to really kind of launch my brand. I didn't have any licensing or anything, but I was getting ready to really take off with my brand, business cards, overlays, everything. And then as he was doing some work for me, he goes, "Well, wait, he had a problem." And so there was a lot of copyright risk. So, Dust and I have known each other for what has it been? It's been almost 2 years, like a year
Yeah,
and a half.
I think it's something right. It's right around 2 years, I think.
Yeah. So we're gonna be talking tonight about that. Now, I know you used to stream. I still consider you a streamer in my mind, and I know that you still do a lot of the work behind the scenes. But like, what originally got you into streaming when you were live, when you were doing your digital work?
All right, so back in the day when Destiny first kind of hit the market,
Mm-hmm.
that was my main focus.
Okay.
I joined a clan called the Dads of Destiny, and I was invited to be a part of a charity stream, and that was the start of it, man. It
So you originally had no intention of really streaming. You kind of just got pulled in as a guest and then enjoyed it.
Yeah, to get my feet wet into the streaming industry, I had 1,000 people watching me on a makeshift setup of a PlayStation 4 and a MacBook Pro. So,
Oh, wow. That's impressive. Using the
Straight.
MacBook's camera and everything.
uh, yeah, I think I did. I think I
Jeez.
had the MacBook, like the basic dot on the top of the screen kind of camera going. Yeah,
Wow.
and it was good. I think the charity went well. I think we raised right around $3,000. Can't remember what it was for, um, but it was fun, and I was like, well, that's it. I'm gonna start doing it from now on.
You got
That's,
hooked.
yeah, that's a good
Pretty
way to
much.
jump in.
So, where does the name Dust to Design come from? Like, what? How did you create that? Like, I'm always curious to know when we interview people, what brought on their name.
Sure. A lot of people actually think it's CS:GO related or Counter Strike related, and
Okay.
it's actually has nothing to do with Counter Strike.
Okay.
It used to be my screen name for playing games and whatnot. It used to be Dust to Dust, and then I just changed it for graphic design. I changed it Dust to Design because I don't know. I was just like, well, that's not gonna fly if I'm trying to do design work, and people are like, why are you trying to have people like be shot at instead of doing designs? And
Well, it makes perfect sense.
yeah.
So since you used to be live, do you have any plans on kind of bringing yourself back to Twitch or any other content creation kind of platforms, or you kind of just doing your work behind the scenes?
Well, right now I got the new computer up and running at my house, and I'm still trying to build more and more stuff on the new PC. Now that I have the ability to hardware wise to actually do things on a new spectrum like animations and stuff
Okay.
like that, I'm trying to learn everything I can about that, and then go and I don't want to stream and be like, I have no idea what I'm doing, because that to me, on the branding of, hey, I'm a graphic designer, probably doesn't say a whole lot.
Fair enough.
So yeah.
Is that as far as you mean, like jumping into the animation aspect of it?
Yeah, like motion design, more
Okay.
more like, yeah, it's more of motion design instead of animation. I know there's some misunderstanding as to, because I had to still figure it out, and I'm still not pinpointed on exactly what I would call it, because I actually reached out to the Institute of New York, and they were like, "Yeah, you're not saying the right stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, fix it." So, animation is more like characters moving. Motion design is taking like text or inanimate objects and making them break or fall or move in some way.
Okay. So it's
Okay.
character driven if it's animation.
Right.
You know, I don't know, kind of crossing realms here, but I know us as miniature painters, when we try new techniques, that seems to be a really interesting topic for our viewers. So that may actually turn into something that could be a good topic for you to stream, is you learning it and then them learning from you.
No, that's actually a really good point. I really never considered.
So, but I still understand that reluctance. Like, if I've never painted a mini before, and I'm trying to get into painting a mini, I probably wouldn't want to be like, "Hi guys, I've never done this. You don't know who I am. I've never streamed before, or I haven't streamed in a while. Let's watch me figure this out." That would be one thing, and then the other thing is,
Rough.
I've gotten into it. I kind of have an idea, so I'm sorting through some of the details. But this is what I've found out, and let's go ahead and dig deeper into it together. Like
Right.
I see both sides of that. I think once you get comfortable, I would definitely say, don't wait until you're fully comfortable. But anyway, we won't get into. We want to get into what you actually are creating and what you're doing. We want to talk about like the digital graphics. So what got you into I guess digital design? Like where did that come from? Was that a career thing? Or was that have you always been kind of doing digital creation?
So, digital creation actually is a relatively new thing for me, actually.
Okay.
I used to do a lot of hand drawn art and painting and stuff like that. I went to school for that um, in high school. I went to a separate school after school and did art schooling there. And, one day I was watching Twitch, and I had a popular Twitch streamer that I was watching at the time get a completely rebrand, and I was like, man, that's cool. I want to see and be able to do that. So I kind of jumped into it with both feet and slowly crawled. I started in 2015. Yeah, I want to say 2015 is when I kind of jumped in it. And for those of you that might know him, I first started working on White Shadow's branding. I have his original assets from when he at the very beginning, and from there just kept at it every day.
White Shadow, I know him from TRUgaming. Anybody who's watching that's part of the True fam. His logo now, it's like a glowing, like if you've ever seen the Wayland from the Aliens franchise, it kind of reminds me of that, but it's a glowing partial like triangle sections in a glowing blue circle. I really like it. It's crisp, it's clean. You know who it's for.
It's White Shadow's logo and Iron Man's center breastplate.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That's what it is. Like,
oh, it literally is. Okay.
That's what he designed.
Like
Yes.
it does. That looks great.
He dropped
like
that
real.
after Endgame came out. But originally it was a standard W. Well, I don't want to make it sound like nothing. It's a very, very like it's simple yet effective, I think is the best way to describe it. It was his W with a circle around it. And if anybody has ever seen his business cards, like that was you as well, Dust?
Yeah, that was me. Yep.
Like that business card is what got me to Dust. Like I'd heard about Dust doing work, and whenever I get into meeting somebody to do any kind of work like this, Um, if someone's like, go talk to that person, they're fantastic. That's never enough for me. But then when I saw this business card, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, So that's what sold it. So yeah, that's where I met you, is right around, I guess, when you were really tight with Shadow. But I keep saying digital creation. Am I using the right term? Like, is it graphic design? Is it digital? What is the best way to describe what it is?
Well, I think they're both similar.
Okay.
You can use them in either fashion because it is digital design,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's digital graphics because graphics are assets. Yeah, that's all the same.
Okay.
It's not similar to calling a custodian janitor or anything, because we don't want to be derogatory to you.
No, not at all.
Good. All right. Well, what is it? Nope, we already asked that. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm also I need to give disclaimer because I already freaked out once. It's the Stanley Cup Finals Game 7, and I'm a massive St. Louis Blues fan, so I am watching the game on the other screen. So if you hear some weird noises, that might be me like reacting to a goal or something. But I apologize now.
So for those of you
Yeah.
watching the audio broadcast,
If
or
you
the
hear
video broadcast, when you see him cheering and screaming, you'll know that something happened. When you see him like waving his arms in anger, something bad happened. So so Dust, with I guess digital creation in general, or graphic design, like how does it work? Like, what kind of hardware, what do people get into with it? I know I've seen people just Photoshop stuff, and I don't want to, again, belittle that, but if you're going to do this right, like, what are some of the components you go through? Like, what do you do?
All right, so in order to get started with what I have, so a lot of people have different setups.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't use a tablet anymore. I'm saving up to buy a very nice display tablet, and that is extremely costly. So, and without the boss's permission, in other words, my wife, I am not going to buy one until I have her full blessing. So, everything I make is actually with mouse and keyboard.
Wow.
So,
No stylus or anything?
no stylus.
That's impressive.
So what I use is I start off with pen and paper or pencil and paper, and once I get a couple of sketches down on paper, I kind of can see where I'm gonna go with it, and then I'll just take a picture with my phone and send it to myself in an email, and then put it in Photoshop and go from there.
Okay. So you kind of use that as a template to kind of draw over, for lack of better words, trace basically your rough in.
Right. Yeah. Like I would sketch it in into Photoshop over top of that, getting the sizing correctly, and then do another layer on top of that where I would consider it being, as they call it, inking. So it's more of a shape, very clean lines, very clean curves, very clean points if it has them. So you're going from a sketch to an ink, and then you go from inking to coloring, and then you go into shading lights and darks. So it's a multi-step process to get anything done, essentially.
And it's quite the damn process. I've tried and tried. I know nothing about digital creation whatsoever, and just the simple task of like removing the background from an image in PNG or in GIMP. Like I gotta sit there for 20 minutes watching YouTube tutorials. It blows my mind how I never doubted how labor intensive something like any of this is. But then when you go to try and do it with zero knowledge, it's downright frustrating. I mean, Joe knows I've contacted him numerous times, like, just do this for me. I can't get it done. Do it. It's a whole different language, frankly, and it takes a lot of skill to even do the basics. So it's amazing that you just, I mean, 4 years ago, basically, you got into this, and it's amazing what you create with it already.
Oh,
I
thanks,
can only
man.
imagine.
Yeah, it's definitely a process, but it's one of those things, like once you get the process down, it just becomes fluid. It's just like for somebody that's playing on a Mortal Kombat, you know, you get the skills to use like Liu Kang's fly kick, and when you first learn it, it might be a little difficult, but once you do it over and over and over again, you can just spam it all the time, and it's just easier.
Like starting with a template basically and altering that to the circumstance basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now clipping backgrounds are still pretty difficult. I know I saw one person post on Facebook asking if I could erase all the people from Disney so that the castle is alone with just her daughter. And my wife was like, "How hard could it be?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna do that. that would take me a year. I would, because you have to, if you can't find an exact picture to match everything up,
Right.
you have to recolor anything you do find to put in the asset pieces. And if you can't find them, guess what? You're drawing it."
That was my train of thought, was if you don't have a photo to take and clip from and then copy paste onto the one that she wants you to crop all these people out, how are you even going to pull that off? That's, I mean, I know it can be done, but Jesus, that's, as you just said, labor intensive.
Yeah, very, very labor intensive.
So I guess I kind of already alluded to this because I described my terrible discrepancies with this kind of stuff. But do you feel that your digital creation is for everyone? Like, can everybody do it, do you think?
I think anybody that really wanted to get into it and had the patience to just deal with the programs, yeah, I think if you really, really wanted to get into it, you could do it. Because there's free programs out there that you can kind of work. You work a little bit harder with the free programs, but you can definitely get into it. And people make amazing pieces of art and graphic designs for themselves or people that they know, or heck, even clients. So yeah, I would definitely say people could do it at any point. They just have to have the patience for it. That is the number one key to all of it. Now, you do have to have some sort of hardware. You know, you can't try to pull up Photoshop on a PC that's 15 years old. That,
No.
you know, it's just not going to fly. But yeah, I think if you really wanted to give it a solid go, you could pick it up for sure.
So does it require like a creative mindset, or I guess you can pretty much, if you have some way of getting the idea, you can make it happen, I guess, if you know the tools. But I always envisioned graphic design, you know, you had to have some sort of a creative bone in your body to be able to make something. But
to have the vision,
yeah,
is what you're saying.
Yeah, but I guess someone else can give you a vision.
Whatever you're creating.
Yeah, that's always been my concern. Do you see, or my question, do you see that if you're not a creative person, you still have the ability to do this? I guess if someone else lays out that vision, is that a barrier?
I think it would make things a little harder. I know from my standpoint, I do have some sort of creative background and some idea of being creative, but there are definitely moments where I'm like, yeah, I got nothing. And it's definitely a harder step to push through that. For instance, I made one branding where the guy had a really solid idea. I put it on paper and we both looked at it and was like, nope, that's not going to work. That's just not going to work like that. So, you know, back to the drawing board, starting from scratch. And I think it took me 2 weeks to figure out something that had pieces of what he liked, pieces that looked right, and a branding that took off for him as well.
So I have a question based on that, as the commissionee, because I've actually done this even with Susie QQ, who just did my Cthulhu bust sculpt. I literally have gotten a proposal, whatever, a mock-up, and basically told her, no, start over. But I felt like crap. Like it ruined me to go back to that artist and say, no, that's not good. Can we go in this direction instead? And basically you're going to be starting over. How do you feel when somebody comes to you with that, like in the early stages or even in the late stages where you think, yeah, I've got this now, and the client comes back to you and says, no, I don't like it, let's scrap this? How do you handle that?
So there are two kinds of people out there. I'll start with not me. The kind of people that get that kind of criticism back and take it personally and just say, too bad you're stuck with it. Not the kind of designer you want to work with.
Those people are on Fiverr.
They're going to push your brand in the direction that they want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have a specific vision for your channel from what information you gave them. But that doesn't mean that it's your personality or your independent ideas for that channel. They might look at your channel now and be like, oh, this is kind of what he wants to go with. And you're looking for a rebrand. They're never going to get it right. So someone like me, I'm more than happy to scrap the entire idea and start from scratch if you tell me from the very beginning I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
If we're on the last stage and I've sent you the sketch, you said, I love it. I sent you the ink, you said you loved it. I sent you the coloring and I started doing the shading, and then you tell me, you know what, I hate the entire project, let's start over. Don't feel like crap because it's still your branding at the end of the day. But me as a designer, I'm going to be like, all right.
there's got to be some level of disappointment there because you just busted your ass doing that.
Oh, of course there's disappointment, but like I said, you can't take that kind of stuff personal because you're not building the brand for yourself. You want your client to be happy for you and for his brand. And if, for instance, GamerDad, if he hated his logo, I wouldn't have let him use it, dude. Like he would have never gone forward with it, and I would have been okay with that. Even if he was like, you know what, could I possibly have my money back? That's also an option that I should say to others, give it at least an option.
Well, we dealt with that too, because you remember, you did what, 3 or 4 different versions of the back of my business card. And I was like, no, and I was so timid about it, but I was like, no, I don't like this one. I like that style. And we wound up with something that I was extremely satisfied with. And even with the logo, like I don't have that vision to really know where to take it. So as a client, yeah, there it is. It's for those of you watching the video pod. Yeah. No, turn the card around. Yeah. So there were different variants of that we had gone through, including kind of like rippling out the cube. For those of you who don't know, that was designed off of a cube. That's when it clicked with me. That's when the logo sold me. When you're like, yeah, it's a cube. But the back of it had different variations where like you would ripple out the rings and you could kind of see them echoing out and all that, and it just felt busy, and I felt bad, like I don't like that one, but at the same time, like I have to walk around and be proud of this card, and you know, so yeah.
If you're not proud of it, you're not going to tell your friends about it. You're not going to tell your mom about it, and she's not going to tell her friends about it. I want you to tell as many people as you possibly can, because that's only going to benefit everybody.
And I'm going to grab something for those watching the video cast, if I can find it.
It's up there. No, up there.
Stop doing that. Because I am looking up there.
You would. I'd tell you things are on the left side and you look there every time, even though we're, 600 miles
And I don't know if Dust has even seen this before either, but... Alright, you see...
Oh, yeah.
You see this? And then we go this way.
He has video. I don't know if he does.
And then we go this way. If I just bring it the right way, well, it's backwards, but there it is. There's the cube.
Now, describe that for our audio
So
listeners.
I have another friend who did a Sculpey cube of my logo, and so it's a 3D block that has on 3 of the sides my logo into it that flow together smoothly. And it's got the blue, the different blues and the white raised up into a 3D cube. So if you look at my logo, that is, you're looking directly at the center point, or I guess one of the vertices of the cube, where 3 edges of the cube meet, is pretty much the center of my logo, and then you can kind of envision that part of the letters actually form the edges of a cube. So think of a game cube.
It's cool.
Yeah. It was brilliant, and I was very hesitant along the way, but I was kind of liking where things were going. And the moment he said cube, the actual image completely, like, he didn't do anything after he said cube, but looking at it, it completely just changed the entire image.
Yeah. When you pointed that out to me, I was like, "Oh, mind blown." That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. And I'm not just saying that because Dust is here and Dust created, like, that's the creative process to me. That is something that I will never be this successful at with digital graphics. You know, it's I'm always going to need, I was telling Dust earlier, I'm always going to need somebody. I'm always going to keep going back to Dust because, like, there's something that just pops with the work. And you know, I see that with a lot of good graphic artists. I mean, there's plenty of others that I could use. I choose not to because of the relationship I built with Dust. But you know, that's what I find to be a good, I don't know if I'm like on point here, Dust, if you agree, where, you know, being able to just bring something to life to your client is really what it's all about. I don't know if that's kind of how you feel.
That's exactly how I feel, which is really the meaning behind my name. I mean, DustIIDesign, it says Dust the old idea, and I'm gonna bring it to a design kind of level. So that's the whole background of my business and why I do what I do, because there is nothing more uplifting than a client saying, "Yep, didn't think of that, and that's awesome." Like, that's just, it feels good all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
So the one of the last things I like to talk about with this, since it's the Twitch Creative Spotlight, is, you know, we're getting a general idea of graphic design and digital creation, but when it comes to bringing that into Twitch, if you were to go live, right? I know you said that you need a computer that can run all this hardware, and things like Photoshop and Illustrator, all these software pieces are memory hogs and really require a good, robust system. Do you have to do anything different to stream it as well?
Streaming in the creative and digital art is no different than what you guys do with how you guys run your miniatures. You know, you guys have the cameras on your miniatures, and what you guys are making, I consider as art as well. I mean, you guys could change the colors of any pieces, whether or not you're looking at the box. And you guys make incredible pieces. Like, I love GamerDad's stuff. And it's the same way. You kind of run it the same way, because when I'm working, instead of a camera being on my pieces for you, it's just the background. It's the backdrop of my stream. So it's, in the creative world, I feel like you have to be more talkative to your chat.
Yep.
You have to be more interactive with them, because they're not there for the video game. They're not there to see the new content of a new game that just got released, or see how a storyline plays out. You are creating your storyline. So I feel like that all comes together the same. But if you're comparing the video game Twitch streams to me doing digital art, yeah, they're completely different.
So, but with as much of a hog as the software is, do you need a little bit more oomph in your system? Like, would you have a little bit more upgrades in the hardware of the system? Like, do you rely on more memory? Do you rely on a stronger video card to do this? Or if you can run Photoshop, you can run Photoshop on a stream, I guess, is one of my questions.
Well, let's put it in perspective. I was able to stream at my office with the PC there, which isn't great. It's not a great PC. I was able to use Photoshop, and I was able to stream it until Adobe updated everything, I think 6 months ago,
Mhm.
maybe 8 months ago, and that's when I went down because I would do it at work, and now that's no longer an option because the PC cannot handle what Adobe's new update is consuming out of my computer, which is why I had to get the new PC at the house. And to be fair, I can definitely stream no problem
Okay.
with Adobe on this PC, but I also have a Threadripper now, and I have a 1080 in here, and I have 64 gigs of RAM. So
Okay.
like, so yeah, I can do it now. But my only recommendation right now with hardware is don't go AMD. Uh, I
Really?
was I was recommended go AMD with the PC and streaming with doing Photoshop. And as a single unit, I would not go with AMD because Adobe does not like the multi cores. It doesn't like it. It
Really?
yeah, it sucks the RAM per core. So the more cores you have, you divide out your RAM per core. So my 64 gigs of RAM is divided by my 16 cores.
That makes more
So
sense.
yeah,
Okay.
I would definitely focus on going Intel, and then going from there.
Okay.
But that's just my 2 cents.
I got you. I got you. So there needs to be a little bit more awareness about what software you're using and how it impacts your hardware, because I know when you're encoding on a stream, your CPU gets taxed more than people like to admit. Like, I'm looking at my stats. I know what my CPU is, and I'm literally running a webcam and an overlay. So I'm running it. My CPU is being used 7% to encode, but I know that goes. I know that I have a lot more taxing on my system when I do other stuff with it. So I can imagine that's definitely news to me. Like, I didn't realize that. So if you're looking to get into streaming and doing digital art at the same time, I guess some research into how your software will interact with your hardware and make sure that can actually stack up with OBS running at the same time.
Yeah,
So
yeah, definitely.
yeah. So I know that this is gonna be a shorter episode, and we wanted to bring Dust on to give us some input. Um, and I know that you're not currently live, but do you have any socials or any content or anything that you wanted to plug before we let you get out of here?
Yeah, sure. If you guys want to find me on my Twitter, which is at DustIIDesign, or I don't use Instagram a whole lot. I'm trying to get into using that more. I don't really understand it yet, but
None
I'm
of us do.
starting to use that more. You could also find me on my website, www.DustIIDesign.com. Um, and if you can, on Twitter, I have my Discord as well. So that's where I usually am all day, every day, because I am in like 80 different Discords. So if you need to
Struggle
find me,
is real.
that's somewhere I'm at all the time.
Cool. And we will have all of that information on the description of whatever media you're listening to this on. So if you're watching us on the YouTube playback, or if you're on iTunes or Spreaker or anything like that, we will have all of his information in the description below, or wherever it's located for the media. So you'll be able to see all of his links. I'll make sure I get those from him when we wrap up. So, Duff, what about you? What do you got going on?
So I'm gonna actually do something unprecedented for myself and actually tell you the literal socials for a change. So on Instagram, which I'm probably most active because I
Mhm.
post pictures of what I'm doing, it is ImpendingDuff40K. And then on Twitter, I believe it is the same, but Facebook is just ImpendingDuff. You can find me, but I believe it's facebook.com/ImpendingDuff is my page. And then on Twitter, I'm just straight up at ImpendingDuff as well. And I also rock a brand new spanking Patreon with all kinds of goodies in there for you guys. So you can find me on Patreon, but at ImpendingDuff as well. I am working on a YouTube as well. I've just said as well like a bunch as well. So
And if
Uh,
you're watching the video podcast, it's scrolling across the bottom as well for both of us.
Yep. Then I got a couple of conventions coming down, but the first one I'll be teaching at is Gen Con. I was confirmed last week for Michigan Grand Tournament as well, so I'll be
Awesome.
both of those cons, and still working out the details for Warfare Weekend in St. Louis in November, but I'll let you guys know.
Awesome.
Hey,
Awesome.
How about you, Joe?
So you can catch me on YouTube. That's getting active again, where I'm starting to do work my Patreon and YouTube, which are both gamerdadnc with no underscores. So you can do Patreon levels with me to get lessons or some guidance. I call it Mentor Monday. You can help build the content of that, and then we can record those sessions and put them back into YouTube. So that's going to be coming soon. We did our first one that'll be published soon, and I keep saying soon as much as Duff says as well. You can get me on Instagram, which is gamer_dad_nc, just like my Twitter, and then, or I'm sorry, Twitch, and Twitter is gamerdadnc with no underscore. So I'm all over the place on social media, but we are trying to get that live, and I'm trying to unify my branding so everything kind of looks similar. So look for more videos and more Twitch Mentor Monday content coming soon. I'm waiting for someone to finish my words. Yeah.
As well.
As well soon. Yes.
All right.
Yes. That would be it as well.
So guys,
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna follow along the script.
No, go for it. That's why I stopped.
No, you go. No, you go.
No, you do it as well.
So, listen, gang, if you have any interest in joining us, you can always email myself at impendingduff40k@gmail.com. You can get a hold of Joe at gamerdadnc@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you guys. We can only do so much. I've got a 1.5-year-old, and I'm doing many side jobs right now, so time is skinny. If you have someone that's a creative streamer of any sort, hit us up, please, on Discord, anywhere. Just push us in the direction. I'll go check them out, scout them out, see if they're what we're interested in, and if their content lines up, I guess. We don't want anybody that's crazy, like swearing a bunch and, just being negative. That's what I'm getting at. But please let us know. We're looking for some more guests here. We only have so many scheduled in the backlog. So
right.
Hit us up.
And check us out on where we're going to publish this on YouTube, Twitch. Well, obviously Twitch, because you're watching it right here live on Twitch. So we have an iTunes playlist now. We're on Spreaker. You can find us on Spotify, all over the place. We're on the TRUgaming YouTube, and I want to give a special thanks to TRUgaming for the support of this. They've helped do some of the graphical design for this, and they've helped us to get this published, and they've done some kind of marketing out there for us. So big thank you to them. We are both partnered with that company. They've been huge supports. So you can catch us on their YouTube specifically. I do put it on my Facebook from time to time, but we're trying to keep it to the more universal social medias. So those links come out every week. We will be publishing this on the next Tuesday, normally pretty late at night on Tuesday. But that'll be going out while you're watching Duff live. I'm working on social media for publishing the previous episode.
And if you see it in iTunes or any other system that has a rating system, please rate us. It doesn't even have to be a 5-star. If you think we're terrible, rate us what you think we are.
Yep.
But I checked last night for the first time, and we had 0 ratings. So, of course, I gave us a 5-star.
There you go. Well, I want to thank our guest again, DustIIDesign. Came in last minute. I appreciate it. Huge help.
Hero of the day.
It's good information to have. I've been wanting to get some sort of a graphical artist to help, and it just happened to be kind of, would I say serendipitous? I probably would. We were talking tonight and it fell into place. So I really appreciate you.
I thank you for the opportunity, man. This was great.
Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing you back on Twitch soon, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Soon. I promise. I am coming back. It's just
awesome.
Not yet.
Excellent.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all very much for tuning in. We will be back next week with maybe Kyle, if we can reschedule him, or we'll find some names, but shoot them at us if you got them. So
yep.
Thanks a lot, and we'll see you later.
Take care, gang. Go Blues.
Da ba da, da ba dee